Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Rodney, and I'm back, and I wanted to talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. This episode was actually okay, believe it or not. I have a lot to say, though. A lot. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, we're going to start out with the beginning of the episode, and then we're just going to talk. Okay. Sometimes, you know what happens, y'all? Let me see what happens, and we're going to get into the review. Sometimes I kind of get excited because I have all of these thoughts running through my head, and I'm trying to hurry up and get the thoughts out before I forget. And even though I have like a page full of notes, y'all will never believe how well, some of you know, how many times I can take notes and say, don't forget to say this. And because I'm so like I'm going off about something else, the video ends, I put the video up, and then I'm looking over my notes and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to say this. Okay. So let's just start out with Shamia is preparing for the trip. They're gonna be giving out they've decided to do some philanthropy when they get to Grenada. And the girls have, purchased things to give. So this is what I saw. um, Kelly has some water in the back of her car. I don't know if that's all she gave. Can I say something, y'all? I don't want, and I know, because we talked about this the other night. I know that every housewife does not have money. Even though at the beginning they did present, the housewives as these kept women who live behind the gates, we know that wasn't necessarily true. Because the other day I forgot, was it look out for Lauren? Was it you, Lauren? I can't remember, somebody in the comments on the live. Basically saying like, girl, some of the girls been poor. So girl, even though that's what they probably told us, girl, some of the girls started out even on Orange County. I think she's in Orange County, I believe. I can't remember. Some of the girls started out poor. You know what it is? It's just hard for me to let it go, because when I see the girls doing things that I have done before, it it becomes problematic. Listen, I ain't rich. I ain't got no money. I'm poor, like most people. I remember either it was 2022 or 23, somewhere around there. Remember, I think it was Jackson, Mississippi. It was like a storm, a hurricane, or tornado, or something that hit Jackson. And my best friend sent me a text and was like, "Hey, sister, I'm sending some water to Jackson. You should do the same." And I said, "Okay, girl." So went to Amazon. Now I know he probably bought more, but girl, you do what your money can do. Girl, I bought $150 worth of water and sent it to a church in Jackson. So all I'm saying is, if I can purchase $150 worth of water, girl, then I do be expecting the girls to just do a tad bit more on the housewives. I just do. And girl, my friend probably about $500 worth. You know what I'm saying? So when I see, I'm not saying that people should not be grateful for what they receive, because we all should be grateful for our blessings. But again, it's just that when I watch these shows and the girls handing out toilet tissue and water, and that's it, I'm like, girl, I'm expecting y'all to kind of just, do a little extra. You know? I thought y'all was gonna do a little bit more for the people. So you got Kelly with just a few bottles of water. I think it was probably like, I can't remember. Probably 10, 15 cases of water. Um, Cynthia, Shamia said that Cynthia had a bunch of stuff, but I don't know if it was they could be showing anything, but they showed Shamia. You see, I'm getting excited. I'm trying. You see, I can't even talk, stuttering and stuff. Um, they showed Shamia picking up a Target bag, and then I pressed pause on my TV because y'all know I'm nosy. Okay, I'm going to see everything. It's my job to report to y'all, so I gotta see this stuff. I saw, I think, 2 things of Depends and 2 boxes of Pampers and a Target bag, and I think I saw something else. And I was like, okay, girl. And then some lady walked up and handed Shamia and Kelly, because at this point Kelly had made it. She made it to Shamia's house. Some lady walked up and handed them 4 recyclable bags. And they said it was from Drew. I don't know what was inside of the bags. I don't know, probably some canned goods. I don't know. And then Peach Juice, I think she wrote a check based off of what she said. And then, girl, bang bang, Edie is what I call her.
I don't play them games. I got whip, pistols, everything. Play that shit in front of them cameras. Don't play that with me.
Bang bang, she walks up, and I knew that box wasn't heavy because of the way she was walking up, and she had on probably 4-inch heels. So I'm like, girl, whatever's in that box is not that heavy, because she has her, Hermes, and then her pump on, and then she's walking just carrying the box. Baby, she may have opened up that box, baby. When I tell you, it was 2 packages of double roll, 2-ply toilet tissue, and 2 things of Kleenex. Girl, what in the fuck? I just got lightheaded. I understand. And I think it was Lauren again. Shout out to Lauren. We were talking about this last year on Marriage and Medicine. And people were saying, and even Dr. Heavenly was saying in one of her videos, that it really is, people don't realize how hard it is to raise money. And I've never done a fundraiser before. Some of my cousins, shout out to the cousins, the ones who have, been in charge of fundraisers, charities, the works. They also said, it's easier said than done. It's easy to sit here and say, because y'all are doctors, that it shouldn't be difficult for you, because the goal was, the goal Phaedra made was $100,000. And I thought that was doable. Dr. Jackie had only wanted to do 25,000. But it just that was just basically saying, it goes to show it can be difficult to raise this money, and it's not as easy as people think. And people are not as philanthropic as one would think about digging in their pockets and cutting a check and giving a coin away. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because if your budget, if you are a person who gives, if your budget is X, Y, and Z, once I hit my budget for the month, if the next person coming to me and be like, hey, girl, we doing so and so, we need you to donate, girl, the answer is going to be no, because girl, my budget is this and I already went over my budget. You should have came to me at the beginning of the month. So, so I get it, but I'm always looking at the Housewives through a different lens, and maybe I need to take that lens off and start looking at them like us. Because can I say something, y'all? Now, don't get it twisted. I do not go up for Drew at all. I don't dislike Drew. I just don't. I just feel like I don't connect with Drew as a housewife, and I do feel like Drew is acting sometimes, a lot of times. However, I don't mind giving the girls their flowers. Hey, I had to go back and watch that clip when at Bang Bang's, PGA Championship, Lady Meets the Blues, Lady Sings the Blues, Harlem Nights, girl, post surgery, girl, BBL wear event she threw together. That lady had 4 things in one. I had to go back and watch that scene, and I have to give Drew her flowers. Girl, Drew has been working the girls. Girl, even this episode, I had, because anytime Drew come on my TV, I'm like halfway paying attention. I had to keep rewinding my TV. Drew was kind of working the girls a little bit. I said, okay, Drew. Okay, Drew. I said, okay. Okay, Drew Sidora. All right. Okay, I was kind of here for Drew. And like I said, I had to go back last week and watch that clip, I'm getting loud. I feel like I'm screaming all in y'all ear. Let me calm down a little bit. I'm starting to get excited. I had to go back last week and watch that episode, and Drew was kind of handling the girls. You know what I'm saying? And this week, she kind of handled the girls a little bit. She did. I said, okay, we working with something, Miss Drew. Mm. So Peach Juice and Drew, they meet up to have a sit down to talk about what we've been talking about this whole season, Dennis and Drew. And Drew working with Dennis on the show. Girl, girl, we gotta go live tomorrow. Because girl, y'all not gonna girl. I see people in the comments talking about we Drew and Porsha, that mm-mm. Those are different scenarios. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's literally like apples to peaches. You're like, anyways. So, um, I put no shade, but Drew hair looks completely different in the photo versus on camera, girl. So they showed a photo of Drew doing a photo shoot for Go Naked Hair. That hair didn't look the same on camera than it did in the photo shoot. So I started thinking like, oh girl, that's how they be gooping the girls and the boys. I'm not judging, okay, and non-binary, I'm not judging. Anybody who wear wigs, right? Because I was like, girl, I would if I ordered that hair, and I'm thinking it's gonna look like what Drew had in her head on the picture, and then it come and look like what Drew had in at the coffee shop, tea shop, I'm gonna be upset. Now her hair didn't look a mess. It didn't. It didn't. It did not. Let me be very clear. Her hair didn't look a mess. It just maybe you know what it looked like. You know what? I'm not trying to be funny. It looked like she had been kind of running around the whole day. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna leave Drew alone. Um, Drew says you want to talk about me filming with Dennis when you've been filming with Ralph. Y'all not gonna get me to believe that Drew filming with Dennis is the same thing as Porsha meeting up with Shamia and filming with Ralph. The fact of the matter is, this was not some storyline for Drew. This was not some storyline that didn't come to fruition. Drew actually has a product. When Drew said I'm working on my album, Drew was actually working on her album. This is not some stuff that she threw together like She by Sheree from seasons 1 and 2, and it didn't come to until season 15. This isn't Giselle and Ashley on Potomac saying, "Oh, we're coming out with an athleisure wear line," and then they change up the next season talking about, "Oh, it's about health and wealth." No matter how much people want to try and spin it, I have not seen one conversation, and it could have been when I had my phone in my hand, I wasn't paying attention to Drew. Okay. But I have not, or at least I don't remember, one conversation between Dennis and Drew that revolved around Porsha. So this thing that Porsha has about Dennis and Drew working together on the show, she only feels that way because she know how slimy and grimy she moves, and she thinks that other people move the same way. Because from what I've seen, Drew and Dennis, the couple of times they've been on my screen, it's been in a professional setting. Now, when Shamia, Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Puffs and Peach Juice met up with Ralph, the conversation revolved around who class? Say it with me. Drew. The one time you meet up with my husband, who I'm actually going through a nasty divorce with, you're asking him questions about me, about our marriage. He's asking questions about me to you. So everything that Porsha is fearing that what happened with Dennis and Drew, she actually did it. She wasn't meeting up with Ralph to discuss business. She was doing it to try to get her lick back at Drew because she thinks that Drew, is up to no good because she knows the way that she moves. She knows that she'll walk into your house and walk out with your husband and your Hennessy. So she think everybody move like that. I'm gonna leave it alone for right now because we're gonna get back into it in a little bit. Porsha says it probably does sting. This is what she said in her confessional. It probably does sting and trigger her because she tried to sting and trigger me. Girl, you acting like Drew met up with Simon. This is what I be talking about. I'm too nasty. Girl. And I be wanting to get my lick back too much to do some shit like this, reality TV. Because girl, the girls only got so many times to play in my face before girl, I start playing back in y'all. Okay? Because the way I would be, the way if they come back next season for season 17, the way I would be, and if Simon don't get shipped off, girl, the way I would be down knocking on Simon's door, having him mic'd up, because you know Simon want to be on TV. Like that's the way that people are. That's the way that some people are looking at this through that lens, as if Drew is meeting up with Simon to discuss Porsha. No, that's what Porsha did to Drew. Drew actually was doing an album that you can see on Apple, Spotify, Pandora. Girl, is Von Wise still up? I don't know, girl. I don't know. YouTube. Anyways, I don't know how y'all go up for Porsha. I just don't. Porsha says that Drew is dating a guy named Black, and she got this information via Dennis. I put that's a nasty heifer just throwing stuff out. Did y'all see when go back and watch the scene between Drew and Porsha? Look at the smirks that Porsha had on her face when she was saying these things. Drew basically tries to shut it down and she says, "Girl, you know I'm going through a nasty divorce. And we just can't be putting stuff out there like that." And so then Drew said, "Okay, well, girl, let me play in your face." That's like me just saying, "You're out here dating." Well, she didn't say that's like me saying. She was like, it's like you're dating Future, because it was a rumor that Porsha was dating Future. Now they bleeped out Future's name. I don't know why, because girl, they already said it. Like I think in a preview a week or two ago. So I'm like, why they bleeping it out now? But anyways, and then she hit Porsha she hit Porsha in her gut. She said, "You know what?" She said, "You're going through a divorce. The energy you have for me really isn't real. That's the elephant in the room." I said, "Bitch." This is what I be talking about, girl. That two-step y'all be doing on these shows sometimes, girl, just put it out there. Girl, you ain't got no beef with me. You're using this to distract from what you really don't want to talk about, which is your divorce from that scammer, which is your divorce from that man whose lap you had your daughter sitting on. And then when she wanted to call him, he sent y'all asses to voicemail. That's what you don't want to talk about. So while you're on here trying to create something between me and you about me and Dennis, girl, it's really because you don't want to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's your husband. Be very clear. Baby, I bet your Porsha got her black ass up and ran out that restaurant. I'm so sick of her. Girl, when I tell you, they're gonna have to glue Porsha's feet to her heels and her heels to the ground. Because Porsha gets up and runs out of every scene. What you running for? Girl, we just having a conversation. Why are you running, girl? Oh, because you know I was about to bring up your marriage. Don't run, sister. Come back. Sister, come back. Where you going, sister? But why I screamed? Girl. So Porsha had got some turmeric. Is it turmeric tea? I don't know. I don't drink tea. It was my first time ever hearing about it. So she was like, "Oh, bring me some," because Drew was kind of hoarse a little bit, and I think she had a session later on that day. I don't a performance. I don't know. And so the lady came back and was like, "We don't have any more, but we can. I can bring you black tea." And she was like, "Oh no." She was like, "You know what? I'm not choicey. I'm not begging. Just make up something." Baby, so another lady brought her the tea, and she was like, "Is this a turmeric?" She was like, "No, it's black tea." Bitch, I thought that was so funny because of the simple fact that Drew asked the lady for turmeric, and she was like, "Oh no, we don't have to. We have black." And then Drew was like, "Well, I'm not choicy. Just bring me anything. Just make me up something." And that bitch stood on some black tea. Girl, you gonna get the tea and get out my face, girl. I be finding the stupid. I be finding the silliest shit, the funniest shit. Anyways, um, oh, Portia leaves and she says basically that Drew's energy is combative. Portia, you try to throw out there that you've done this twice that I can remember. You had your homegirls come on and say that Drew was over there, girl, throating Dennis for beats. And then now you're coming back saying that, oh, you're actually dealing with black. And why didn't you just say that instead of letting this rumor go around about you and Dennis? From what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I think that Drew said the first episode that she wasn't fooling with Dennis like that. Now, I'm sorry, y'all. Hey to the Drew stands. We're not gonna sit here and act like, I try to be fair. We're not gonna sit here and act like Drew wasn't putting gasoline on it. Oh, he's my angel. He's the reason why I get out of bed. Drew knew what she was doing. Drew knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. But with that being said, she still, from what I remember, said that her and Dennis were not involved in that way, and it was just a professional relationship. Kelly. So Kelly's talking to her kids in the room, and she basically can't be there for the first day of school. Listen, I saw some people online, dragging Kelly. You wrong. And I thought it was kind of mean a little bit. I did. Don't get this twisted because I got some for Kelly too. But I did think I get it. It's the first day of school. But one of the girls said she doesn't even care. Baby, Kelly gotta go to work. Kelly has to go to work. So I get that it's the first day of school, but mama gotta go get this coin. It would be, you know what I'm saying? Like, girl, Kelly gotta go to work. So that's all I have to say. Kelly has to go to work. Um, so Lamont, Uncle Lamont. I think they like Lamont because one of the little girls was like, um, "Can we stay with Uncle Lamont or something like that?" So I thought that was cute. So I was like, "Oh, they have a good relationship with him." Um, so Lamont is cool with Mark. I'm assuming they're probably cool because Mark and Kelly were married, right? So if you're probably anyway, so he's cool with Mark. He calls Mark to basically try and get Mark to come around. All I'm gonna say is this, and this is gonna sound. I hope this doesn't sound mean. Kelly, baby, while you running around here talking to Angela, talking about what about that baby? Y'all don't remember when she was at Cynthia's house, and they were all sitting around, and Britt said basically to Angela that, girl, does the world know about that secret baby? And then Kelly said something like, yeah, what about that baby? Girl, why you worried about the secret baby? You should have been worried about your 4 babies, your 3 babies that's biologically Mark's, and him not wanting to do nothing with them kids. When I tell you Mark don't want nothing to do with Kelly, all those kids, I think that is so pathetic and trifling and nasty. And it just goes to show when women say, when they don't want to be with the man anymore, when the man breaks up or the woman breaks up with the man breaks up with her and the fucking kids. Whatever is going on between Kelly and Mark, especially if because I know at one point he couldn't come around the kids. So I don't know if that's been lifted because he threatened to bang Kelly in the courtroom. Now that's when you know a nigga crazy. On some real shit though, Kelly, I just thought about that shit. I just thought about that girl. You shouldn't even want the nigga around your kids. To me, any nigga who threatens to unalive you in the courtroom in front of the judge is nuts, psycho, and needs to be locked away. Now think about it, girl. You shouldn't even want him around your kids, dad, girl, ex-husband, and all, because you know these niggas will girl use. Girl, let me shut up. You know it's men out there who will take out everybody, the kids included. I'm not saying that's Mark. I'm just saying there are men out there. We're not gonna pretend that we don't see these stories every day of these men, girl, off in the wife and the kids, everybody floating upside down, girl, in the back swimming pool. Hello. Anyways, Kelly starts to cry. And she says that you could tell it wasn't that cry that Porsha was trying to squeeze out when she met up with Shamia. Like, give me your hand. I don't want to break up with you, Shamia. That it wasn't that cry. This you could tell that Kelly didn't want to cry, but it was about to come and she was trying to stop it. You know, like when I be about to cry and I be trying to stop it, girl, and it come out anyway. It was one of those cries. But she basically says, I don't get to take a break from being a parent. They also talked about Lamont is going to take the kids to school. Girl, and I was just like, girl, he got to go to 3 different schools. I forgot the kids are in 3 different grades. Girl. So he has to take Chloe to school, and then the other girl, and then the twins. I said, oh, girl, that's a lot. That is a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot. Oh, girl, I hope the schools are all right by each other. So anyways, they all make it to the airport. Oh, can I say something? Can I say something? I'm going to say it. Phaedra Parks has a lot of nerve. You know, believe it or not, I really try and watch what I say. Sometimes there have been moments where I have listened to what I said in previous videos and I do cringe. Like, ooh, girl, you shouldn't have said that. Right? Or, ooh, like, oh. You know, I've had those moments. I have. Because I don't want to be like the man on YouTube, the gay boy on YouTube who just talks about, about women. It's already bad enough. We get down here, we critique the girls on their hair and makeup and dresses when it comes to like the reunions. I feel like that's enough. I try to stay away from the physical. I am not a beauty queen. I will not be winning any beauty pageants, top model girl competitions no time soon. I've said this, I'll say it again. I think I am a handsome, cute, average looking black man. I think that Phaedra is an average, attractive looking black woman. With that being said, I am baffled at how many times Phaedra has taken digs at folks' looks on this show. So she says in her confessional, she meets Angela for the first time at the airport. Angela is the oldest looking young woman that I've ever met. Then says hopefully her personality is more youthful than her face. Now, we're gonna have to just be honest. I remember at the beginning of the season, I did assume that Angela was in her 50s. I did. I remember saying, well, the oldest ones on the show are Kenya, Cynthia, and Angela. And then Angela came out and said I think Angela just turned 43 a few weeks ago. I was like, oh. I just assumed that Angela was in her 50s. But Angela's actually only 43. Now, with that being said, Phaedra Parks, I remember how you looked before the 40-inch blonde bust downs. I remember how you looked before you transformed into a city girl at the age of 55. I remember how Phaedra looked. And it's not to be mean, it's not to be shady, it's not to be down here talking about a woman. Again, I don't think that Phaedra is an unattractive woman, I don't. But for her to go from like talking about Kenya, calling her oatmeal pie face, to talking about Angela, girl, Kenya, you could pour fish grease on Kenya's face. You could pour hot grits on Kenya's face. And she would still run circles. Be very clear. And also be very clear, it's only one bitch on the show that's won a national beauty pageant. Hello? Well, she ain't on the show no more because the bitch got fired because she showed somebody sucking dick. She was on the show. She got fired for showing bang bang throating down to the Kenya Moore spot. But that's not the point, okay? The point is Phaedra has some nerves. She really does. And like I said, I'm not trying to be mean or insensitive or talk down on a woman's looks, but I just feel like it has to be said. Like, Phaedra girl, I remember you with the pressing curl. I remember you when you had the roller set. I remember you before, you were walking around here basically dressed like Porsha. I remember. Ooh, I remember. We'll go ahead and move on though. Shamia. Shamia's bags are still in Atlanta. Ooh, girl, that's the worst feeling in the world. Long story short, I went to BravoCon in 2023, and baby, I get off the plane, and a text message came through, and said that my bags were still in Houston. Girl, I want to tell you, and all I had was a backpack. Girl, I ain't had no fresh panties. Girl, I ain't had no toothpaste, no toothbrush. All my stuff. I put all my stuff in my suitcases. I had 2 big suitcases because I didn't know I threw a whole bunch of stuff in the suitcases, and I know they always say if you bring put clothes in your carry-on, so if something happens to your luggage, then you'll be okay at least for a day or two. But I didn't have a carry-on. I was like, I'm just gonna put everything in my suitcases. I'm not bringing a carry-on and 2 suitcases in a backpack. I just had a little backpack with my laptop, iPad, and stuff like that in it. And I just remember, like, girl, almost like girl wanting to just blow the whole air. No, I shouldn't say that. Girl, I was mad at the airport. Okay, I almost said the wrong thing. Did I tell y'all when I was sitting down on the phone with United, girl, Karen literally walked right in front of me. It was her, a gay guy, and a girl. Yes, Karen Huger. Shout out to the Grand Dame. But Shamia is rich. See, I ain't rich. I didn't have no money to be out there, girl, trying to buy outfits for the next 3 or 4 days. So Shamia got money. So if they did lose her luggage, she'll be all right. So Phaedra's in the back. Can I say something? I don't know. I'm not even mad at Phaedra. For real. Because in my head, Phaedra, and this might not be true, but in my head, I believe that Phaedra has some type of romantic relationship with someone at NBC, Universal, Bravo. Like, has to be, because when I tell you Phaedra is great, that's I can't even. When I really think about it, I would do the same thing that Phaedra is doing. If I had the opportunity to be on Traders, Dancing with the Stars, no, really, I'm just saying. But Phaedra has had the opportunity to be on Traders, Dancing with the Stars, Married to Medicine, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like I don't even think that there's anybody else on Bravo. Maybe so, and I just can't. I just don't know about it. That really jumped from show to show. And I can almost bet you Phaedra probably getting paid top dollar. I wouldn't be surprised if Phaedra making $100,000 per episode this season on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I wouldn't even put it past her. And when I tell you Phaedra ain't did nothing but really just give us confessionals, this episode shouldn't pop up until 30 minutes into the episode when they made it to the airport. Phaedra gave us nothing but confessionals this episode. Last episode, she was just sitting around talking shit with Porsha about the girls. And Phaedra is back on the show and ain't got to. I said, what? That's what I said. Like, at some point, I can't even be upset at Phaedra because I mean, girl, if they're gonna give you money just to come back and make faces and talk about people in the confessionals, and that's all I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? But she says that all she knows about Drew is that Drew's in a lot of black movies. I thought that was a little like, I don't know why I felt some way about when she said that. Y'all want to talk about me being anti-black. Okay? Because I called the girls the baddest HEL. Because I said it's giving wives and ex-girlfriends of Atlanta. It's giving basketball wives Atlanta. Okay. I don't know why I felt some way about that comment, but maybe because I don't like Phaedra. So everything she do probably go get underneath my goddamn skin. So anyways, Drew is telling them about Shamia. Shamia ought to feel like an idiot. Shamia ought to feel stupid. So remember last week when she was basically saying down at B103 or whatever radio station it is that she works for, she was basically saying that Drew was a liar because in her songs, in one of her songs, she talks about her speaking 5 different languages. And Shamia was like, she's a lie. She don't even speak 5 different languages. In my music, you get the authentic, real me, right? Girl, Drew was basically... Shamia, you stupid. Shamia, girl. I ain't got no issues with Shamia, but Shamia ought to feel like an idiot. Girl, Drew was talking about love languages. And girl, Shamia going around town. Shamia is going around town to the point she went to the radio station and said down to the Atlanta radio station that Drew is a liar because she's going around saying that she speaks 5 different languages and she's talking about love languages. I said, oh, Shamia. But see, that's what happens when you try to do Porsha's dirty work. That's what happens when you are the bona fide, certified lapdog. Girl, you so busy trying to really defend Porsha that, girl, you out here in these streets looking like a fool. We're gonna get back into it. So they get to where they're saying. Y'all know I instantly rolled my eyes as soon as they said that they were sharing rooms. I said, "Oh, girl." Y'all know I'm real. Y'all know I get real. Y'all know I get real worked up about room situations. I listen. I don't mind sharing rooms. My whole thing is this: just let me know the sleeping arrangements before I get there. As long as I know what's happening when I get there, then I'm good. If I get there and I'm expecting something different from what's being presented, then girl, we might have a little issue, right? We definitely gonna have an issue. But if I already know, like, hey, Rodney, we went on a trip, but the thing is, you're gonna have to share a room with so and so and so and so, I'll be like, okay, girl, let me think about it. Okay, girl, I'll go. That's fine. But if I get there and I'm thinking I'm gonna have my own room and bathroom, and you say I'm sharing, girl, then that's when we're gonna have a problem. I'm gonna get my phone and I'm gonna go to the Priceline and I'm gonna look for a hotel in the area. Girl, I'm gone because I don't play those games. But girl, it wasn't that bad. They actually had villas. I said, okay, this is cute. The way that they were acting, like, sharing rooms, I was like, oh, girl, they really got these girls sharing rooms. So, like, I thought they was gonna be in one room together. But no, it was a villa, like, an apartment. So I was like, oh, okay, that's good, that's cute. Everybody got their own room. Everybody had their own bathroom. It's just that it was two to a villa, which is cool. The only thing was that the villa that Cynthia and because how did they break them up? Phaedra was rooming with Bang Bang, Shamia and Kelly. Shamia and Kelly. Yeah, Shamia and Kelly, they room together because they are the host, co-host. Who else? Who else was it? I don't even know who on the show. Oh, Cynthia and Drew, they room together. And who's ever left? Oh, Angela and Porsha, they room together. Okay. The only thing was is that in Drew and Cynthia's villa, one room had two twin beds. And so they did a arm wrestling contest to see who would get the king room, and Drew won. But then when they got to the villa, it was actually really nice. I would have done the same thing because, girl, it's not that big of a deal. Girl, I can sleep in a twin size bed. I don't really do a whole bunch of moving around when I sleep anyway, so I really could just sleep in a twin size bed. But I more than likely would have gave the room to Cynthia too. Not to be shady, but she's older. You know what I'm saying? And then Cynthia, like, how tall? Like 5'10", 6 feet. Like, just I would have gave her the room too. I would have. As long as I got my own room and my own bathroom, then girl, I'm fine. I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of giggle. This ain't got nothing to do with the show. I mean, it was on the show, but it was just something. Anyways, when Porsha told that, I'm not gonna lie, Porsha do make me laugh sometimes, even though she got on my goddamn nerves. When Porsha was over there talking to the chef, she was like, "Put one more piece of chicken on there." I can't get it out. So Portia was in the kitchen, standing by the chef, and I heard Portia say, "Go ahead and just put one more." No, I'm sorry. Let me get it out. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She said, "Go ahead and put one more piece of chicken on there." I said, "I know that's right." I don't know why I find some of the silliest shit the funniest shit. When Portia said, "Girl, girl, just put one more piece of chicken on that plate," I know that's right, girl. Um, Shamia and Kelly are talking in the room, and Shamia mentions that Drew is going online mentioning they have a fake beef. And Shamia is like, "Girl, the beef is not fake." I hate when I can't remember how a beef started. And y'all told me in the comments last week, and I still forgot. How did the beef start between Shamia and Drew? I cannot remember. I cannot remember. That's how I know it's trivial because I can't remember. And it's one thing if this was like season 3. I can't remember nothing happened season 3, but I can't remember why the beef started between Shamia and Drew. But Shamia is basically saying that it's real. Um, but Shamia doesn't want to acknowledge that, girl. I feel like Shamia started it. I don't know. Maybe she did. Maybe Drew started it. Oh, was it that because Drew felt some type of way when she asked at her house, was Drew screwing Dennis? Is that how it started at Shamia's party? I can't remember, girl. That's how I'm like, it's probably not even that deep. Anyways, what it sounds like to me, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there right now. What it sounds like is, girl, y'all really all up Portia's puss and up her ass because y'all ain't got no beef with no goddamn Drew. Kelly, you ain't got no beef with Drew. Shamia, you ain't got no beef with Drew. Y'all ain't got no beef with Drew. Girl, what it is y'all taking on Portia's fight. And that's just that. Anyways, so yeah, she says that, girl, they basically, Drew's acting like they have a fake beef, and it's a real beef, I guess. Drew is talking to Cynthia, and she basically is not dating, but she's met some people. Um, Cynthia lets it be known that her man is a much younger man. And she said that basically he is, girl, fucking her silly. Now she ain't said it that way, but that's how I took it. She said he always ready to go. I heard. Now I don't know this. I don't repeat this. Don't repeat this. From what the people say, when a woman gets older, she gets her sex drive increases. So like when older women get with younger men, in that aspect of sex, it makes sense because now I'm up here and I need somebody to keep up with me. So Cynthia probably is up there, and now she got this young man over there, girl knocking her against the wall. Yes, Cynthia, go, Cynthia, go, Cynthia, go. And then what happens in the opposite the opposite is when we get older, girl, and one day as a diva calls it, by African Smoothies, I'm gonna be on that road one day too. Today is not the day though. So one day I'm gonna be taken by African Smoothies too. So what happens is when the younger girls get with the older men, they might be over there tugging and pulling and bopping. Girl trying to wake it up. They're talking about wake up. So now you trying to get smashed all night long, but girl, he can't get it up. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, um, Cynthia, I almost feel like Cynthia is just on the show just to get a check, which I'm not mad at it. I mean, I guess it's like anybody would be on the show to get a check. But the stuff that Cynthia says sometimes doesn't really make sense to me. And I can almost understand now I've been understanding it for real though. Even though I did agree with what she said about Kenya being above what she did at her spa. But I could also see why Kenya don't fuck with her. Girl, when Drew told Cynthia that Porsha met up with Ralph. Um, Cynthia basically says, I think she said it in the confessional, girl, y'all are even now. Girl, no, we're not. We're not gonna be even until I meet up with Simon. When I meet up with Simon, then we can call it even. We're not even right now. Because I've been working. Working. She did it to be malicious. I ain't filming with Dennis to be malicious. I actually have a product that you can see and hear. Listen, you can hear it. No, we're not even at all. I'll let you know when I'm done getting my league back. Matter of fact, I ain't even gonna let nobody know I'm about to get my league back. Y'all just gonna see. Okay. So it's dinner time. Girl, it's no shade. Did y'all see the way that Bang Bang opened up her mouth and put that food in her mouth? And when she did it, all I could think about the way she opened up her mouth and put that food in it. Girl, it's no shade. I'm not gonna say that. Kelly. Kelly says that she wants the group to reset. And basically, they're trying to get the friendships back on track. So let's reset and all that good stuff. She said, let's start with Shamia and Drew. So Shamia and Drew start to go back and forth. Shamia is bothered that Drew called her a lap dog. But I understand. I'm thirsty. I'll hold up. I need to drink some water. Just give me 5 seconds. I'm thirsty. Hold up. Okay, baby. I was thirsty. Okay, so Drew and Shamia start going back and forth, right? And Shamia is bothered that Drew referred to her as a lap dog. For the life of me, I don't know. I mean, Drew can call herself what she wants to call herself. I can call myself what I want to call myself. If I come down here and I be like, girl, I'm just a messy punk or whatever. But that don't mean you gonna call me a punk. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. Shamia called herself a lap dog, right? She don't want nobody else calling her a lap dog. I know Shamia regrets that picture that she posted on Instagram, and I think it's still up. That's a real gag. I'm telling y'all, I personally went to Shamia's Instagram page probably 2-3 months ago, whenever the season started. And I went to her page to see was that picture still up there. And it was still up there. And I took a screenshot of it. It might still be up there today. So, it is what it is. She calls you a lap dog. But I think Drew called her a lap dog because Drew feels like you're basically doing Porsha's dirty work. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not even a feeling anymore. It's just what it is. Shamia pulling that stunt with Ralph and Porsha. Like I said the other night, I know I have a friend in real life who would have probably pistol whipped Porsha and Shamia. Going through a divorce, and I find out that you met up with my husband who I'm divorcing, and y'all talking about me and asking questions. He asking questions about me. Girl, I'm telling y'all. That's a good. That's a y'all. This is a TV show for real, for real. Because I know somebody who would have whooped their ass in real life. In real life, Shamia, that's why people say you're a lapdog because of stuff like that. Because you're taking on something that has absolutely nothing to do with you. You have the nerve to sit here and tell Drew, and I hate to go backwards, but you have the nerve to tell Drew that, girl, basically there's no other producers you can work with. But then you turn around and you meet up with Ralph to discuss business because y'all did a podcast before. Girl. Or she made an appearance down to, I think last year when they tried to do, excuse me, wasn't that Todd Burris? Didn't Todd and Ralph try to do a podcast before? I can't remember, girl. I don't even care. Um, so after Shamia got finished talking, when I tell you, baby, the way I screamed, baby, when Drew said, well, I guess a hit dog will holler. I said, okay, Drew. I said, okay, Drew. I said, okay, Drew. I said, okay. I said, okay, Drew. I have to rewind it because I think I had my phone in my hand. I said, what? I said, what she just say? I said, okay, Drew. And then Shamil gets mad. And all I could think about was, girl, if you mad, if you're mad at Miss Drew Sidora for saying a hit dog will holler, then I want to know what your response was when Dirty Diana, Porsha's mama, Dirty Diana, girl, when she made an analogy calling you a dog. What did she say? Watch the dog that brings back the bone. At this point, everybody calling you a dirty dog. You's a dirty dog. Watch out for that dog, okay? Girl, matter of fact, they could have said, girl, watch out for that bitch. Because what does that mean? And according to, ain't that a female dog? Right? I'm just saying. But yeah, girl, everybody calling you a dog. So if you're mad at Drew for calling you a dog, even though you were down to the Atlanta last week barking, girl, when I tell you, I thought that was so cringy. She was like, oh, 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 kiss my ass, motherfucker. I said, girl, ow, ow, ow. I said, girl, Shamia, this is not giving the moment that you think that it's giving. If anything, girl, you look silly. Anyways, but this is what Drew does. I noticed this about Drew too. When Drew does things, she starts to act like she don't know what's going on. Girl. So now she done said after she said Shamil was a lap dog. She then says, well, I guess a hit dog will holler. Shamil gets extra pissed off. And then she says the energy is turned up. Well, the energy is turned up. Girl. Drew says slick shit, and then when the girls get offended, she'll start to be like, what? Why are you so angry? What did I say? Drew does that a lot. Hey. But in this situation, in this scenario, it's actually kind of funny. Angela hops in, and then she says, but if we're having an intimate conversation with you, because Shamia said that she ain't got no, I can't remember exactly what she said, but she basically said to the group that she don't care about if she run back and say stuff because it is what it is. And then Angela said, well, if we're having an intimate conversation with you and you go back and run stuff back, then girl, what's that about? And then Phaedra, and I have to agree with Phaedra. Oh, I was with Phaedra. Regardless of how we feel about Porsha and Shamia's friendship, that's still her friend, or at least at this moment, that's still her friend. Phaedra said, did you really think you were having an intimate conversation with her best friend? It is weird. It is weird that y'all thought that y'all could go to Shamia and have this intimate conversation about her and her best friend, and then her not go back to her friend who she's been knowing since she was a little girl. That don't even make sense to me. It doesn't. And then Angela says, no one is prying into your friendship. And I put shit. Yes, you are. Let's be very clear. We got to be honest, y'all. I know. Listen, we like Angela. Angela is definitely the MVP of the season. I have to give her flowers, but I'm not going to let Angela play in my face either. Angela, you definitely were prying into their relationship. When you went down to the studio with Shamia, one of the things that you brought up to Shamia was Porsha and how she acted down to your dinner that you threw. That was one, you prying. You decided to get your lick back later, girl, when you got pissed off at Shamia and Drew. I mean, Shamia and um, Porsha. Shamia for laughing and Porsha saying that she was going to F your husband. So then you said, oh, because you were already prying into their relationship. You were. So then you went back and told Porsha a conversation that you and Shamia had 3 months ago. That's what she said. Because now you mad because you want to get your lick back. So yeah, you were prying, and I feel like the fact is the conversation, which I'm not mad about it, the conversation about Shamia and Portia's friendship would have never even came up if Angela would have just put it out there, because she tried to the first time and Shamia pretty much like shut it down. It wasn't until Angela turned it up about 5 notches that she got the party started. Just like I'm not mad, I just thought about this too. Like I said last week, I'm not even mad at Phaedra and the shit that she be saying. Whatever Phaedra want to say about Britt or Angela, I'm okay with it. The problem that I have, and this is what I forgot earlier, didn't I tell you I take notes? I have a page full of notes and I forget. The problem that I have is because Phaedra just have married to medicine. I had this conversation on Twitter with one of the cousins. The problem that I have, as I stated last week, is Phaedra just got off the married to medicine train, calling them mean girls. And she hops back on this train. And since she's been back, the only thing she's been doing is talking about people. And not talking about people like, she's talking about people like calling Britt a hoe, a slut, pretty much. She's upset with everybody. She's talking about Angela's looks. You see what I'm saying? Like, girl, how, like it is a hypocrisy for me. Again, I don't really care that Phaedra's talking about Angela's looks. I don't care she's talking about Britt. It's just that I'm calling it out because, girl, you just left Married to Medicine, and now you're back in 2 episodes. The most you've done is just talk about people. That's it. Anyways, but I meant to say that earlier and I forgot. So hold up, let me look over my notes, y'all. Hold up. Okay, so Shamia responds, and she basically says, after Angela said that no one's prying into your friendship, we're basically just telling Porsha your grievances that you've told us. And then Shamia said, y'all gotta catch, y'all gotta listen. She said, most of the time it's y'all coming to me. She said most. So are there times, Shamia, you've brought up Porsha and your friendship? Because you said most of the time. That's not all the time. It's one thing if Shamia would have said, listen, every time that Porsha came up in conversation, it's because y'all messy asses bring it up. Now, I do engage in the conversation, but it's because y'all bring it up. But she said most of the time. Which at this point, I really don't care either because, girl, Porsha ain't nobody's friend. And then Porsha says that she found out. Porsha says that she found it odd that everyone asked Shamia about their friendship and not her, because everybody didn't need to ask you. Because we just gonna call a thing a thing. Or they watch the show and they all think the same thing. You trifling as hell. That's why they didn't ask you, because they had already come to the conclusion in their head that you're trifling as hell. That's it. So Kelly says, well, do you think you've been a good friend to Shamia? And then Porsha said, no. I said prior to this conversation, y'all didn't ask. We're good now. No, you didn't say prior. I didn't hear you say prior. That's why Kelly said, well, girl, are you a good friend to Shamia? Right? And then Kelly says, Drew, you have an issue with everyone at the table except Cynthia. I call myself fair. And I said last week again. Shout out to last week. I said last week. I said, why does it seem like everybody, and lack of a better word, why does it seem like everybody like bullying Drew or like jumping on Drew? Even I noticed that. I was like, it seems like now you could tell it's we gonna get Drew. Girl, who is everybody has an issue with Drew? Who is everybody? Okay. Does Angela have an issue with Drew? Kelly, do you have an issue with Drew? Does Britt have an issue with Drew? Does Phaedra, who doesn't even know Drew and just met Drew the other day, have an issue with Drew? The only person that really honestly has an issue with Drew is really Porsha. Girl. And she really don't even have no issue with Drew. She just didn't want to talk about that trifling ass husband of hers. And the reality is nobody really has an issue with Drew. Porsha ain't got no issue with Drew. Shamia doesn't have an issue with Drew. Shamia is being a lapdog for Porsha. Her issue with Drew comes from Porsha having an issue with Drew. Britt and Drew don't have an issue. Now, do they really talk? I don't really see them interact since they had that interaction when Drew asked her, did she sell her cooch? Did you sell it? She said, did you sell it? The cat. So ever since Drew asked her, did she sell her cat? I don't really see any beef between Drew and Britt. They just don't converse on camera. And then Kelly, like that's what I'm saying. Like, where are these problems coming from? Porsha said that she doesn't have a huge expectation when it comes to being friends with Drew. And then she says, when you said I was dating Future, and then Drew says, you said I was dating Black. I brought it up because wait, I don't know what I put. I brought it up because because Black. Oh, okay, I get what I wrote. Porsha was basically saying I brought it up because if you're dating Black, then why would you let the rumor or people think that you're fooling with Dennis go so far? Well, girl, you the one who kept your foot on the gas pedal for the Dennis Drew situation. Because again, correct me if I'm wrong, Drew been said plenty of times, girl, I'm not messing with no Dennis. And then Drew says, if you were emotional at Shamia's party, then how can you expect me not to be when you sat down, basically with Ralph? Okay. Girl, I don't even know what I wrote. You can't, Drew, because you did the worst compared to me. Oh, I know what I wrote. Okay. Then Porsha says, you can't, Drew, because you did the worst compared to me. Just simply coming to lunch. He was already there. Girl. You know what I don't like? You know what it is? The people on reality TV sometimes think that they can outsmart the viewers. And for some, they can. You can call me a lot of things, but I ain't no dummy. Okay? The fact that Porsha thinks that Drew having a professional relationship and bringing Dennis onto the show is worse than her meeting up with Ralph because, she just popped up. She didn't know. Well, she didn't pop up. She was invited by Shamia. She didn't know Ralph was going to be there. But the gag is, again, when you got there and you know that Ralph was there, a part of the conversation was about Drew. Like, why is the light bulb not going off? Like, am I tripping? Girl, like, I feel like and the fact that in Portia's head, she feels like what Drew did is worse. How? Porsha, in real life, is a married woman. So for her to even feel like someone has to go through her to get permission to work with Dennis, you know what? You know what's crazy? I saw somebody say this earlier on Twitter, and I forgot who it was. And I said, oh my God, I forgot all about that. They basically said at this point, and I'm paraphrasing what they said, but they basically said at this point, people trying to act like they don't shoot scenes with other husbands or exes, it's crazy because it happens all the time. And I said, oh my God, it does. And I was like, when has it happened? Girl, we've had Peter, girl, float on over to Potomac and film scenes with Wendy, girl. We've had Peter film scenes with Mia and everybody else on Potomac. We've had Sheree film with Apollo, girl, down to Atlanta. We've had Apollo, girl, twist on, run on, not twist, but run over to Meriton Medicine. So maybe I guess the difference is that Porsha is on this season. Maybe Porsha wouldn't have cared if she wasn't on and it was just Dennis and Drew. Maybe that's the difference in Porsha's head. Why she doesn't want, or she felt like it was an issue, even though girl, it wasn't an issue, girl. Maybe I'm just trying to get in her head. Maybe she's saying that's the issue because she's on the show. And if she wasn't on the show, maybe it wouldn't be an issue. But the fact of the matter is people do film with ex-husbands and exes all the time. And I'm sure if we probably sit down and really, really came up with a list, we could probably come up with probably 10 times. I'll say probably at least 7. Probably 7. Probably 7. Do you think? Probably 7. Like I said, for me, if I was doing work with one of my friends' exes, I would tell them just because I would want them to be thinking like, girl, when did you start? I'm just making up a name. When did you start talking to James? You know what I'm saying? So I'll just like, hey, girl, just FYI, me and James doing some business together. I didn't want you to hear about it. You be thinking, girl, like, when did y'all start talking? I didn't even know you talked to him. So I would give my friends a heads up. Drew tried to do, and I think, and girl, Drew tried to do it. At some point, girl, I've been trying to tell you, you either postponing, canceling. So at some point, girl, it is what it is. And I have to repeat myself again. Porsha said out of her own mouth that the friendship with her and Drew is not that deep. When Porsha said that, I was like, oh, girl, please. Drew don't owe her a goddamn thing. And the reality is, girl, don't nobody owe. You cannot move the way that Porsha Williams has moved on Real Housewives of Atlanta and then expect people to move a certain way with her, with you. Porsha moves real grimy and she does what the fuck she wants to do. From not being a good friend to Shamia to walking into her coworker's home and walking out with her husband and her hen to say, and I don't care. I know somebody gonna get in the comment section saying, oh, Rodney, Fowler was fucking a pool boy. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That doesn't mean that because Fallon was having sex with Jalen that I invite you into my home as my coworker / getting to the / might be friend, and then you fuck my husband. I don't care if I was screwing everybody in Atlanta, Georgia. That don't mean that you get to. That don't mean you gonna give me my lick back. And I'm standing on that. Can you imagine you probably doing dirt in your relationship and then you invite your coworker to your home and then you find out later on, girl, they get married. And not even later on, girl, just a few months down the line, they're engaged. That's literally what happened. Would you be like, well, girl, no, I invited that girl into my house. We broke bread together. I gave her my alcohol, bitch. Alcohol is high. I mean, unless you're drinking, what is it called? Taka vodka? Is that the one we used to drink back in the day in college? Taka vodka? Girl, I had some Taka vodka. This was probably about 10 years ago. That was my last time ever drinking cheap liquor. We had went out. And like sometimes at the clubs, you have to spend a certain dollar amount. And I think the drinks is like $2. And I was like, I just want one. And he was like, well, it's a $10 limit. And I was like, okay, well, just give me 5. Girl, only $2. And my friends was like, well, I don't want, they were good. I think I drank like 3 of them. When I tell you, babe, by the time I was walking out the club, girl, I think I was leaning on my friend holding my stomach. That was the last time I ever drank cheap ass liquor. Back in the day when I was in college, baby, well drinks was what it was, baby. Taka vodka. Okay. Girl, okay. Anyways. Yeah, I put. But what? When you got there, who did you talk about? You talked about Drew, Porsha. Why are you trying to act like, girl, what she did was worse? And then Drew says, "How would you feel if people walked away from that combo saying Porsha and Ralph are sleeping together?" Did y'all see the camera cut to Shamia? And Shamia was like, what are you? Why are you rolling your eyes, Shamia? Because on some real shit, Drew really wrapping y'all up with common sense and facts. Drew really wrapping y'all up again. She had Porsha ass running out the restaurant earlier. Now she got you on the other side of the table, pissed off, rolling your eyes, girl. And then Bang Bang wants to have a Bang Bang tried to have some type of girl. Bang Bang wants to talk, and then she basically says, "I have something to say to Phaedra. Well, Apollo and his wife were invited to my event through my husband. There was no malicious intent, girl." And Phaedra was like, "Oh, okay." I'm not gonna lie, girl. I kind of giggled because you could tell that Bang Bang was trying to have a moment with Phaedra, and Phaedra wasn't buying it. So Phaedra was just like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Oh." I said, "Oh, Bang Bang." It fell flat. And that was pretty much it, child. So yeah, that was it. I know I forgot something. I'm thinking about going live tomorrow. Y'all know, girl, I always forget something, girl. And I literally probably have about 8 pages of notes. Let me see how many notes I took. But y'all know I write big. I write big as hell. I write big for no reason at all. I don't know why I write that big. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 9 pages of notes. But again, like I said, I write big. All right, y'all. That's it. I'm sure I forgot something. We might go live tomorrow so we can kiki and laugh. Because again, like I said, I always forget something. That's it. Talk to y'all later. Have a good day. Bye, y'all.